Hey everyone, how we doing? JC here with another episode of SO NWA. I got my brother here, Enrique, joining me again. How we doing?
Good, man. Good. How you doing today?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. Folks, today we have another special guest with us, Mr. Martin Resendiz, the principal of Oakdale Middle School here in Rogers, Arkansas. Brother, how we doing?
Hello, JC. I'm doing great. A little bit nervous, but very, very excited to be here with you guys.
Oh, you know what, man? I'm right there with you, man. I think every time I do an episode, there's that nervousness kicking in. But you just said something earlier that I think is completely true. What did you say?
I was once told that when you feel nervous about an event, an activity, or something important in life, it's because it's important to you, because it's serious.
Yep.
And so I like to believe that if I feel a little bit nervous right now, it's for all the good reasons. It's nice to see Enrique. As a former student, seeing him in the professional world, it's always really nice to be at the same table as professionals, right?
Yeah. Thank you for saying that's a really good perspective. But I'm the one looking at you two, and Enrique, he was your former teacher, yes?
Yeah, he was my former teacher when I was in Rogers New Technology High School. I think it was my freshman year of high school. He was my Spanish teacher. Everyone thought that he was the cool teacher, because he was closer in age, and he always gave pretty good advice. It was very helpful. Anytime you needed help, anytime you had questions, he was always that kind of resource for you.
Yeah.
And I felt that way, and I know of many other of my peers felt the same way as well about him.
I believe you. This is one of the first times I'm meeting Martin here, and just the few minutes that I've gotten to know him, I think that is very true. So, Martin, thank you for joining us. Thank you for, even for me as a friend of Enrique's, to say if you were that person to him, man, thank you for that. Yeah.
No, thank y'all. Enrique is very kind. That group that he was a part of was just top tier, very, very kind-hearted, very intelligent, and hungry for success. And so I see that not just with Enrique, but with so many from that class. I was a young educator that didn't know what he was doing, but I was really good at hiding it. It helped that I had smart students. They were so intelligent. So it really made a difference there. But a lot of the work during those years as a teacher, it was because of the students themselves.
Cool,
That's awesome.
cool.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear, because even now as a young adult, I see some of my peers online, and seeing how we got into different professions, I always find that very, very engaging. So that made me feel pretty good hearing that from a facilitator's perspective.
Yeah.
And quick shout out real quick. I know we're here for Mr. Martin Resendiz, but listeners, don't forget, me and Juan Carlos are on the DS team at Fathom Realty. We provide real estate services all throughout the area. Anytime you need help, anytime you need some sort of question or assistance, feel free to contact us. We're friendly people. We don't bite. So
Yes, thank you, Enrique, for reminding us, for reminding the audience of that. Sometimes we do forget, because, as much as we do this podcast for the passion of connecting people, working with people and everything like that, we would love to also connect and help with anyone in their real estate needs. Purchasing, your first property or anything like that is a big deal. It's a big step. We would love that trust from the audience, people that and things like that. But, just another shout out that I want to give. I want to give a shout out to Infamous Beats. He is Mr. Nathan. He actually reached out to me on Instagram to help us come up and design and produce the beat that is the intro beat to our episode. He really came through. A completely random person. This guy lives in the West Coast, up in San Francisco area, and he reached out on Instagram, and we started chatting. I wasn't sure if it was like a robot or something like that, and we just started chatting. And believe it or not, we were just talking. I was describing what Northwest Arkansas was, what kind of feel that we were looking at for this podcast, and he cranked it out. And after a few tune adjustments, it is what you hear now. So Infamous Beats, brother, thank you so much for working on that, man, and we really, really appreciate it. So, but yeah, guys, so thank you, all three of you. Thank you for joining us, man. How was y'all's weekend?
I would say my past weekend, because today's Thursday. So from what I can remember, almost a week ago, it was pretty all right. I had a good time. I think I was with my fiance. I don't know if I was with her this weekend or if I was at my parents' house. But all I know is that I was with family. We're hanging out, so it was good.
Okay, cool.
Overall, it was good. What about you, Martin?
So we have a newborn at home.
Yeah.
We are learning how to be a dad with a 2-week-old baby.
Oh man.
So a lot of our time, whether it's the weekend or during the weekday, is just getting to bond with him, getting to learn his personality. It's been good just being able to spend time with family. So the last 2 weeks have been big when it comes to family.
Man, amazing. Shout out to you and your family for that sacrifice, but it's a blessing to add to the family, right?
Yes.
So amazing. That's cool, man. So the first kid, yes, first,
Yes.
yeah,
Right. First one.
Nice. What's that feel like now? How does that mindset change from just a few months ago to now to actually having the baby in your arms?
JC, for me, I was scared.
Okay.
Because I have nieces, I have nephews, but this would be my own child, right?
Right.
You can't pass it on to someone else and be like, hey, I'll see you later. But my biggest fear was that I wouldn't know how to calm him down, that I wouldn't know what to do, that I would be too scared to pick him up, feed him, change a diaper, freak out when he was crying. When we first shared that we were expecting, my close circle just supported me with advice on what to do, what not to do. Every person is different, right?
Yeah.
But I had those that were in my corner every step of the way, and just reminding me to be patient and to enjoy every step of the way. So it's been amazing. I've realized that I do things without even thinking about it, that I'm not so scared. He's 2 weeks old and the kid can eat. And so I've been joking around with them. I was like, hey, when you are walking, you're going to get a part-time job, dude, because you are expensive. And so again, just being able to connect with him has been amazing. Different role in life that I didn't know that it would be this wonderful.
Wow, that's very impactful to hear, man. That's pretty cool.
I can relate to you in the sense of having nieces and nephews. I have 2 nephews right now, right? And whenever there's como un berrinche, like they're freaking hell, I talk to my sister, I'm like, hey, your kids are kind of freaking out. So I can relate in that aspect, but I don't have any children yet. So hearing that perspective from a new father, I think that's always very refreshing because, the role is completely different now.
Yeah.
You have this little baby that you are now having to be in charge of with everything. So that's amazing that you're having such a wonderful experience so far.
Just from what you're saying, it sounds like it's like a natural, like you naturally went into that role of being a father, and even the confidence in your voice sounds like you're doing good. Like you've adapted and learned quickly in that one few days to a week or whatnot, right? But you've transitioned to that role now as a father. That's cool. What else you got, man?
Well, I guess thinking right now that you're a new father, right? Your son is about 2 weeks old, and I guess looking now in the future, what can you say now that you have a small family you're starting? What do you think is going to be your favorite holiday to look forward to as compared to before when you didn't have your son with you?
That's a really good question, but a tough one, Enrique. I feel like he's getting back at me from whenever I would throw these questions at him as a student. He got me thinking, JC.
That's a good one. Oh, maybe your previous favorite holiday. Now you got the little one. What's your favorite holiday?
Yeah. So for me in the past, I wasn't big when it came to holidays. Life is different, right? Life is different, has taught me a lot. Good and bad experiences, it's shifted. But before I would think I shouldn't celebrate on one day, right? For example, Valentine's Day is around the corner. I shouldn't be celebrating someone just on that day and then forget to tell them that I love them or I care for them the rest of the year. And so that was my mindset before, but things have shifted a little bit today. I want to show those that I care for how much they mean to me, and those days are just a little bit extra special. And so when I think about family, I think about Christmas because it's an opportunity for us to come together, to celebrate our culture, to see the smiles, to see the cheer you bring to others, whether it's with gifts or a meal that you're sharing. And it's also that time where you can dress up and get all cute and whatnot. And so I'm excited to see those pictures with Santa Claus.
Yeah,
right?
That'll be cool.
And usually during that time, my family and my girlfriend's family, they usually travel to Mexico. And so I see us in Mexico celebrating these special holidays
for sure.
as well. It has to be Christmas. It has to be Christmas. But like I said, I want to be intentional with all the other holidays to celebrate it with loved ones. But we'll see how it goes. You guys hold me accountable if I forget. What's your favorite holiday?
Well, I think for me, it's around like that same time of year, right? You have Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Culturally, I think growing up, in a Hispanic household, right? Both my parents are Hispanic. That time of year is very important in the sense of you get together with your family and you spend a lot of time together. And to be fair, I always look forward to eating a lot of food. So,
There you go.
so that's another reason why.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for me, that'd be kind of where I kind of fall. And I don't know about Juan Carlos if it's different.
I would say I really enjoy Christmas. I think that to me is that the Christmas holiday season is probably my favorite time of the year for sure. I love the lights. I love the fall, winter weather. So like this past Christmas, we had more of a warmer Christmas, right? But that was
yep.
still, it was still good. It was still really cold that night. I left turning on the heater and kind of having the tree out. So lights, trees, gifts are cool too, and things like that. But always for Christmas, people want to spend time with their family or friends, people they care for, and that was like is a really good excuse. Come on over, we got you. We'll cook some food. We'll watch this movie we've seen a million times, but let's do it together. Like to me, that's a really good time. So, but yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, talking about Christmas, talking about the holidays, would you guys say what are we? Are we a coffee person or a tea person? Enrique?
Well, maybe this is just a Honduran thing. I have no idea. But after every meal or something like that, they're like, "Man, quiero una taza de café." Everybody's always throwing around coffee. And now I do drink my fair share of coffee. I go
Okay.
to my mom's house.
Yeah.
Hijo, ¿quieres un café? You
Yeah.
want coffee? It's like, yeah, sure,
Usted con
mama.
pan.
With creamer and sugar or just straight black?
A little bit of cream and a little bit of sugar. But
Okay,
I do like a little bit bitter. I do
Okay.
like the coffee a little bit bitter.
Con pan?
Yeah.
A little bit
Some
of
pan dulce, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Y Martin, how about you, man?
Chocolate de abuelita.
Okay,
that's good.
That's when I think of a warm drink, chocolate de abuelita with some pan dulce, you have to, right?
Man,
It's perfect
But
right there.
With coffee, I like coffee and I'll drink it, but it makes me a little shaky sometimes. And so when I find that good spot or a good location here in Northwest Arkansas,
Yeah.
I stick to it. Because I'm a little selective when it comes to coffee.
ooh, okay. So what's the coffee spot right now, if there is one?
So I tend to go to Kennedy's Coffee.
Ooh, classic, yeah.
I'll find myself there.
Okay.
Kennedy's Coffee. 7 Brew. Yeah. Yes. The only
Yeah.
thing, the sugar would just get me going.
Get on. Okay.
Right. But I would say Kennedy's Coffee. Now I've heard of a few.
Yeah.
Café con pilas. I think.
Or-
Yeah, they're out in Springdale.
Yeah, Springdale. Yeah, that's the class. Yeah, another. I haven't been to that one yet, but I need to go. Yeah.
I haven't been there either, but I've heard many good things. A lot
Yes.
of people on our team, they've done consultations there. They've gotten their coffees there, and they always talk good about the environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Onyx is another one.
Yeah.
That was a good one downtown Rogers. For the Onyx, I always find myself catching up with old friends. And
Yeah, it's such a good such a very nice, pretty, and a good location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
good vibe.
And good coffee. Yeah, good vibe. Well, folks, we're gonna transition over here to Martin. Who is Martin? What is he? Where's he from? And how? What a day looks like for him. But Martin, where are you from, man?
So JC, my parents, both of my parents are from Guanajuato, Mexico. Small town,
Yeah.
Munguia,
Okay.
close to Acámbaro.
Okay.
I know we have a lot of folks from Taranda, from Acámbaro, from that area, and so we're right there with them. But both of my parents immigrated to California in their early 20s. So that's where I was born and raised in King City, California, Monterey Bay area.
Oh.
And so I was born there, but in 2007, when I was 14, we moved to Rogers. We moved to Northwest Arkansas.
Nice.
And so that's where it all started. But anytime that I'm asked that question, depending if it's just a quick answer that I want to give, right? But anytime I'm asked that question, where are you from? I have to say Northwest Arkansas. I have to say Arkansas. Rogers is home. And this is where I see myself retiring one day.
So you got here in 2007, is that what you said?
That's correct.
So from 2007 to now, right, 2025, we're in February. How has it changed, right? Like in your opinion, is it different? Is it similar? What does it look like to you?
Oh man, Enrique. If I would have known the growth, I would have invested in land in Centerton. I would have invested in all sorts of different areas here in Northwest Arkansas. It has grown so much. And I think that's the first thing that comes to mind, just the physical growth, right? The buildings, the businesses, but we have grown so much as well with diversity, different interests, different hobbies, sports, cuisine. But for me personally, I have seen it grow as just a melting pot. You know, you have different folks coming in with just that rich culture background. But I can think back to when I was a ninth grader and we would go over to the mall and just hang out. That was the thing to do. I just hang out, walk around. You didn't have to buy anything. I don't know if we still do that. I have found myself over at Sky Zone, and that's where all the cool kids are hanging out. It looks like.
Okay.
But I have definitely seen that growth in a good, healthy, positive way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think even when I was in middle school, that was a thing, going to the mall and walking around. I shouldn't have been going. I was 11, 12, and sixth grade. I don't know how my parents even let me go, but that was the thing back then. You just go to the mall in Pinnacle and just walk around, or even the one up in Fayetteville, and just literally do nothing but be with your friends.
Yeah.
You know, I think the difference between now and before was, I think when we were younger, the Rogers Mall not opened up yet, and at least for me, we would go to Fayetteville, so which is, you know, reference maybe like 20 miles away with our friends. But now you got the Rogers Mall, right? That's where we all hang out. Did you guys go to the Rogers Mall, or were you talking about Fayetteville?
No, they had just opened the Rogers Mall
Okay.
when I had moved in. That was the hype.
That was
the talk.
Yep.
But I was talking with the assistant principals when we were young. We didn't have social media.
Right.
You had to go out and interact with people in person. And now you sometimes depend on social media, on that cell phone, to stay engaged, stay connected with folks, which is awesome, great. But I do think that in 2007, we were forced to go out and interact with others.
So you really just went out to go, like, be out.
Yeah.
I would agree. So I was, you know, I must have been a sophomore at the time, and I remember, you know, if I had a cell phone, I was lucky, you know, or something. You know, I didn't get like a real cell phone until I was like a senior. Yeah, that was probably the thing. We used to write notes. You know, we used to, write notes.
Don't get caught.
Don't get caught. Yeah. Or if you had dude, actually, I remember in high school, if you had a cell phone and you got caught, you were suspended. You went in school suspension, or the teacher confiscated or whatever, and your parents had to come pick it up at the office. I don't think that's the case now. What is it now? What's the cell phone?
So as right now, at least in the district of Rogers, every school is different, right?
Okay.
For us here personally at Oakdale, if you are caught with a cell phone, we do confiscate it, and the parent guardian has to pick it up.
Oh, okay.
But it's an opportunity for us to interact with parents and, like, hey, you know, we hate to have you come in and pick it up, but we want to give you an update on how your student is doing. Everybody has been so positive about this, but we also want students to know that, hey, it's serious. When you're in school, you shouldn't be on your cell phone. There is no need for that. And we did tighten up that policy a little bit towards the end of last semester. But I would say students have, especially at the middle school, they have a good heart. And as long as you talk to them and you explain your why, they're going to be supportive and be in compliance. Now, I remember that with cell phones back in the day, didn't
It was a big deal, but I really like what you said. You said you explaining the why to the students, and that right there is what makes the difference than just doing something and, like, not explaining what happened.
Yeah.
But explaining the why is a really good way, and a really good way of leading that. Yeah.
Do you have a specific moment, like during classroom hours? Like, let's say the kids go to lunch or something like that. Are they allowed to use their cell phone at that time, or no?
So in the past, they did have that opportunity during lunch, but we've learned that when cell phones are not present, our engagement increases and poor choices are not as present. I went around last year surveying students, asking them, hey, do you know who sits at your table? I was like, yeah. Well, what's their name? I was like, well, I don't know their name, but I know who they are. And it's simply because sometimes we get behind a screen and we forget to socialize, right? In the world we live in today, sometimes we don't learn or know how to interact with others. So instead of giving students free time, get on your phone, do whatever you want on your device, we try to have fun activities to get them to engage, laugh, and get to know one another. I can't say that we have time for cell phones,
Right.
but it's been good. You can see it where they're interacting with one another, because our mission here in Rogers Public Schools, all belong, all learn, all succeed, all means all. And so when you think about a table of 8, you want everybody to feel a part of that table, right? And so we're forcing them to interact with one another in a very natural way. So I don't think I would even consider allowing phones during passing period. We've asked them, hey, what do you guys want for as a reward? And they'll come up with other things. A cell phone is not one of them. Cell phone usage is not one of them.
That's like on their low list of priorities when it comes to rewards. If you're willing to share with us some challenges that kind of occur whenever you do maybe have trouble with the student, maybe they're not feeling happy about the rules. How do you handle those challenges, and how do you kind of let the student know, hey, it's more for your benefit, and have them realize that it's actually helping them?
As a former counselor, before going into administration, I was a counselor for the district. I've learned that it's important to hear students. Yes, they might be minors, and yes, we might be older than them, but we can learn a lot from them. There are also more students than adults in the building. So if they wanted to, they can take over a building without a sweat. But for me, it's important to validate their feelings and their emotions, right? And I do believe that we have a staff that cares for our students, and our students can see that. Now, just like anyone, we're all going to have a bad day. We're all going to be frustrated. But I think it's modeling that behavior that you want to see from others. So I try to do that on a day-to-day basis. If I make a mistake, I'm going to apologize. And I don't do it behind doors. If I made a mistake with the whole class, then I'm apologizing to the whole class. But it's a team effort. And that's the message that we've shared, that if we want to be successful as Oakdale Middle School, we need to work as a school community. And that requires the work of the students, the teachers, the parents, custodians, cafeteria staff. Everyone that walks into this building is part of that team. And so as long as you share with the student the why, they're going to be upset for a minute or two. But I think you allowing them to be part of the conversation and treating them as young adolescents, they're going to value that and appreciate it. If you have rapport, then I think that's a game changer. If you don't, then why should they trust you?
That's a good point right there.
That's very true. Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. You're gonna be a really good dad.
Thanks, JC. I hope.
Just hearing that's really refreshing to the community, because this podcast is not just we just connected today, but it sounds like it's also good to know people who are like-minded and going building that support around you, that community. Changes the trajectory of your life and how things can go. So that's awesome, man. It sounds like the kids here at Oakdale Middle School have a really good principal, good staff, because I believe it starts from the top down, right? And you lead and it set the example for your staff, for your students, and things like that.
Thank you.
And one of the questions we had on here was, what do you enjoy most about education or your job? But I feel like that was probably the answer indirectly. But I mean, if you want to take another shot at it, what do you enjoy most about education, in the role that you're in?
When I saw that question, when you shared it to me, I was reflecting on 2010 when I graduated from Rogers High School. Statistically, I shouldn't be in the position that I'm in. I was very, very blessed, fortunate that I had educators in my corner, pushing me and challenging me. Shout out to Lisa Threlkel. Shout out to the Eferts. They believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, right? But what I enjoy most about education is tied to that year. I enjoy being able to push and challenge our students, our staff, and believing that they can accomplish anything that they desire. Because statistically, if you look at that, many of us should not be successful. But I love being the underdog. I love accepting a good challenge. I've shared with our student body the goals that we have for the district. But it's going to be a team effort, right? And having people in your corner to push you, to pick you up, to motivate you, all the things. So I think for me, every single day walking into this building is just an opportunity to uplift someone, even if it's one person. Because if my teachers, coaches wouldn't have believed in me, I don't know what I would be doing today. And I have fun. My girlfriend's daughter told me once when I first was meeting her, I asked her, I was like, well, what do you think principals do? I was like, I don't know. I think you do fire drills and you eat donuts in your office. That hurt a little bit. Shout out to you, Jimena. But she was real with me on what she thought we did. And so Things have shifted a little bit, and she knows that I do more than fire drills and eat donuts. But
Funny.
it's different every single day. It's different.
I'm sure there's a principal who does exactly that.
Somewhere out there.
Yeah, somewhere out there. Probably just, man, we're doing a fire drill this month. Let's get some donuts.
Let's go.
And they don't do, yeah, wherever.
That's
terrible.
Man, so you mentioned you had a lot of support from previous staff members and previous facilitators that helped you when you were a student. And I'm curious, how did their support help you from where you started as a regular facilitator to where you are now as a principal? How did their support kind of help you lead in the direction to where you are today?
So, Enrique, you might be surprised by this one, but going from teaching to counseling, it wasn't the adults that inspired me or pushed me. It was my learners. It was my students. The questions that you guys would ask me, sometimes I would not be prepared with answers about FAFSA, higher education. I'm undocumented. How do I apply for college? And I didn't have answers to those because I was teaching Spanish, quizzing you all on el pretérito. You still remember those?
Honestly, no. I gotta be honest. I kind of.
I appreciate the honesty.
I think I would fail an exam if I took it right now.
We won't give you one today.
Okay, very good.
but it was you all that pushed me, and I was like, how can I help my students outside of the classroom? And that's why I pursued a degree in counseling, school counseling, and so I did it for a couple of years. But one of the principals that hired me as a counselor, Jim Davis, a really good mentor, and I call a friend today. He told me, "You're going to be a principal." I was like, "Sir, I'm trying to be a counselor. Just hire me as a counselor, and then we can talk later." All right. But he's like, "You're going to be a principal." I didn't really think about that one. I was a counselor, and I was able to focus on supporting students to earn a high school diploma, thinking about higher education, career technical fields, military, you name it, what's after high school. And I love that. But it was individuals like Jim Davis that saw me in positions that I didn't even think of. I was like, you're crazy, man. How am I going to be a principal? I'm trying to be a counselor. But it was those individuals that believed in me. And I'm not even going to try to name all the different adults, professionals that were there to support me as I was getting my admin degree, admin license. But I'll be real with you. There were many times that I was like, this isn't going to work out. This is too hard for me. I won't be able to do it. But those individuals, the people in my circle, were always there pushing me, motivating me, pouring into my cup when they didn't realize it that I needed it the most.
Oof,
man.
Yeah, I love it. I love hearing those stories. That's your story, right? Just to have it and hear.
It's just so raw, like it's real. Like
Yeah.
it's a real experience that we're listening to. And anytime I hear that from anyone, it helps fuel me. And I'm sure Juan Carlos could probably relate as well. I mean, I think hearing the hardships and hearing how difficult things can be and just hearing how you grew from that is always so powerful to me.
There are those people who really see something and they try to mentors people that help the youth and try to lift them up and fuel them to make a difference. I think that's just special. I have those people in my life, and that you just get them. You never know. You never know when you're going to meet them. You never know when you're going to be like around them. You're at a job one day, next thing you know, you're really good friends with the boss. And then they just start motivating you. They start telling you certain things. You're like, man, this guy's crazy, or this girl's crazy, or whatever it might be, right? So I have something like that too. So it's amazing to hear that. Yeah, that's cool. But we talked about Rogers. We talked a little bit about your history, and what you do, now that you're in this position. But it sounds like you've basically been in Rogers Public Schools for almost your entire career, and I think that says something. But what is something different about Rogers Schools that Rogers Public Schools is different than another district?
Yeah, no, JC, if you look at our mission statement, all belong, all learn, and all succeed. And that key word of all, doesn't matter who you are, but you will find that sense of belonging. You will learn and you will be successful. And we're not going to make excuses. And it's never easy because we're also very diverse. But you name it. What are you interested in? Are you a hands-on type person? then come check out the CTE program that we have. You
Mm.
want to work on diesel mechanic, you want to do welding, you want to build a small home. Well, you don't need to be a graduate. You can start doing that now here in our district. Or maybe you're focused more on advanced level courses, and you can start taking classes at the college level.
Yeah.
And we cover those expenses. Or maybe you're interested in clubs. If the club doesn't exist, then you start it, right?
Wow.
And we will support you. The adults will support you.
Mhm.
But if you drive around and you see some of our facilities, you might think that it's a college. Well, in reality, it's Heritage High School, Rogers High School, and the beautiful complexes that they have for their athletic programs. So I do believe that Rogers does a great job of serving all, whether it's through academics or the social emotional aspect of life. For me, I got lucky. Okay, I got lucky, but I do believe that today we're very intentional and strategic with every student, with every family, because the families also play a role. Okay, being able to educate them and things like FAFSA for that first student going through the process, being able to explain the credits and attend the importance of attendance.
Yeah.
To me, right now, what has stood out here in Rogers has been the CTE programs, but also our Rogers Honors Academy. If you have a certain GPA, certain test scores, you are invited to be a part of this academy. And their main focus is to prepare you to apply for colleges, prestigious colleges, and help you with scholarships. And so right now we can say we have students in Harvard, Stanford, and universities that we would have never imagined. My first year as an AP, we had a student who received hundreds of thousands of dollars through scholarships. First generation, an immigrant. And it was just amazing to see that she accepted to attend Harvard. And now everyone after her can actually believe in themselves to go even further, right? It pushes me as as a professional, as an individual, to go even further as well, because now you have an immigrant, first generation at Harvard, and I think she's actually getting ready to graduate here soon. So that's a nice feeling, right?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Shout out to whoever that.
Shout out to Reina.
Oh, Reina.
Oh,
Shout out to Reina.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you do a lot of work talking with students, talking about furthering their education, maybe after middle school, after high school. You talk about meeting with parents. I'm curious to know, generally speaking, what does like a day-to-day look like for you as a principal here at Oakdale Middle School?
Well, I joke around with others that I go off of my calendar, but I would not.
I hear that a lot. No, not with principals in our previous episodes, right?
Yeah. Everybody's looking at their calendar.
Everyone's got the calendar, man. Whatever the calendar says.
Yeah. But you know, I can't forget about the relationships. I can't forget about connecting with individuals, right? And so while I might have meetings here and there, most of my time is out in the hallways, in the cafeteria, in the classroom, right? So a typical day for me, I'll be in front of the building, greeting our students as they're walking in. I'm not a morning person, but I find that energy because I want students to know that they are welcome. And so with the simple good morning, how are you doing? With the smile, my job before the day gets started is to greet our students and also for our families to see that, hey, we thank you for the trust because you're leaving your most precious person here with us, and trusting us that you're going to pick them up with even more knowledge this afternoon, right? And so that's where it starts. And I come into the building, check in different hallways, make sure that students are where they're supposed to be. Check in with my admin team, making sure that they have the support, that if there's anything I can do to assist them. But it's all about relationships because every day it's different. One day I might be working with one individual a little bit more. It could be that during a drop off, we learned that a student had a bad night. And so I'm working with the counselor. Hey, we need to talk with this individual. Let's check in with them. It could be that we had a pickup from an incident the previous day, and so now I'm dealing with discipline, right? But I don't try to be in my office. the office staff, they joke around that they're going to put a GPS on me to make sure that they know where I'm at. They gave me a bell during Christmas, and I didn't realize that was their GPS. I thought it was just associated with the holiday, right?
there you go.
But they could hear me.
Oh,
They could hear me when that bell was
That's
going off.
That's-
Yeah,
that's
kudos to
funny.
them.
That's funny.
But it varies, but it comes down to that relationship piece.
Okay. Very
Man.
good. Yeah, I think building relationships is always important, especially with people who are as young as they are here in middle school. They're very impressionable, right?
Yeah.
So they have that impact from somebody who's caring and, bubbly and very positive. I think that always has a huge impact on them.
I think that always goes a long way to have those relationships with the people that we see, and at the end of the day, those are the ones that just make a huge difference in our lives. I can remember teachers and principals back when I was younger that I was like, man, I could still remember their name. I don't know where they're at now. Man, they're special to me. So I can see that.
I have a question for you, JC. You remember them. Do you remember what they taught you? Do you remember the subjects? Do you remember the curriculum, the tests that you took in their classes?
Not really. No, not too much. What I remember is just their care.
Yes.
Their care, their good attitude, or just that welcoming, loving. If whatever point I was in my life, when I was either in grade school or middle school or high school, they just they saw where I was at, and then they came to my level, but they were just treated me. Hey, Juan, how's it going? Hey, Miss. I'll say Miss Keller or Miss Sabinsky. These are some of the teachers I remember now, or Miss Spivey. Oh, it was just different, right? But I just remember that, like their care, their attention. Their questions, if it was just a general question, like I knew I'm about to walk into a class and learn, right, quote unquote, learn something, and they would just ask you, how you doing? That was the part I remember the most. So that's me. Yeah.
And I asked you that because that's what I remember too.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I covered in those classes. I remember I struggled in geometry for Miss Becky Eford, but I just remember that caring feeling walking into her class.
You would want to go to class to just be around them and just be cool with them and just be a normal young teenager or whatever. So yeah, man, that's a good one. As Enrique and I, we arrived to Oakdale here a little bit ago, right? We noticed there's a huge renovation going on. Man, this building looks really good. Tell us about it.
Where do we start? So this is a project that started in spring of 2024 and will be finalized in summer of 2026. So we're currently remodeling the whole building phase by phase. It started last March, and it's been a learning experience for all. But $39 million are being invested in this project. I share that because our residents, they're a part of this. They're tax-paying citizens, and so $39 million are being invested in this building that is so full, rich of history. In the fall, we had 8th graders that were in temporary classrooms. They were in trailers. And currently they're in their renovated classes, which they look beautiful. And if you haven't seen pictures, I encourage y'all to go to our social media pages and just take a look. It's not the same Oakdale that you saw even 2 years ago, right? On social media, I saw that there was that joke of, oh, there's the brown brick. Well, you don't see the brown brick in the renovated classrooms. There is that, what do you call it? That brand of who we are, and at the same time, reflecting on who we've been in the history that Oakdale has had for the last 50 years. But we are excited for us to have this building renovated. It's a welcoming place. A lot of great things are taking place. When you look from Dixieland, it might look a little chaotic, but our students have strived. Our teachers have accepted this challenge. We've never done this in the district. We've never renovated a building like ours, the size of Oakdale. And so we've all been learning. We've all been learning throughout the process.
Probably a lot of moving.
Yes.
Hey, you can't use this hallway this week, or hey, you got it back now, but something needs to be tightened up or adjusted real fast because maybe that light didn't work. We go to a new construction home. You think everything is nice, and it is nice, but then you find out the sink didn't work, so you got to call the
Yeah.
maintenance guy to fix it, right?
I'm curious to know if you ever had like a hallway close and you ever had any students trespass when they weren't supposed to. I don't know if you have any stories about that. There's something that crossed my mind, you know.
So we try to be clear with communication.
Right.
Safety is our number one priority,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so students have done a really good job of keeping each other safe and communicating when something is wrong. We tend to have meetings to talk about the good, the bad, and making sure that we don't have any hiccups, right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think so far, knock on wood, everything has gone really, really well. We have a great group of students
That's
and
awesome.
adults.
Man,
That's awesome. Well, speaking of, all the students here and your admin team and everyone here, we're curious to know if you want to give anyone a shout out. It could be your friends, family, anyone who's helped support you in your journey here as the principal of Oakdale, or even as someone who's a pretty valuable person to, I think, to many of the students here.
I have so many individuals that I can think of, right? And it could be that I leave someone out. So I just want to share this. In the last couple of years, I've learned who is part of my circle, who is going to celebrate me, who is going to provide me with a shoulder to cry on, who's going to hold me accountable when I make mistakes, but at the same time uplift me. I've been very blessed to have so many individuals that can play that role. So my circle is small, but it's that quality versus quantity. So I don't want to mention or say any names, but as Martin, I have a circle that has supported me with so many different challenges. Now, as principal here at Oakdale, my admin team is very young. All three of them, this is their first year as administrators, and they have done a marvelous job. They have a servant heart. They're always ready and willing to help. During the summer, we would have meetings, so all of us would be suited up. And then after hours, they were wearing shorts and a t-shirt, moving furniture, checking up on their teachers, making sure that they were ready to go. So they're not afraid to get their hands dirty. And I admire every single one of them. So I do want to give them a shout out. My office staff, they're the folks that families are interacting with. There are many challenges and changes with the construction team. And so having that cool, calm-headed, but so that we can serve others has been great. And so lastly, my staff, our teachers, because nobody wants to move from one class to the next once, but some of them had to do it twice in a semester, right? But when you see them engaging and interacting with students, yes, the learning is important, but our students, like JC said earlier, they're going to remember who cared about them. And I do believe that our teachers care very deeply about our students. And so I want to give just a shout out to that whole staff. My job is fun and exciting, but it's because of those wonderful people that are in my corner. And so shout out to all of them.
I love it. I love it, man. I think it's always important to highlight the teachers, right? Because I really love the point that you guys bring out, that you remember how a teacher makes you feel.
Yeah.
I mean, in the beginning of this episode, we talked about how you were a teacher for me, right? And I always remember how you were always so helpful, and you always give pretty good advice. And maybe I said this already, but I really do appreciate it, because now that we're sitting here in this room together, I can confidently say you had a pretty positive impact on me. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Man.
Thank you, Enrique. When I see you and some of your former classmates, my back starts hurting. I was like, how is it that he's a professional and I'm still the young guy? Well, I'm not that young anymore, but I admire you, and I admire the work that you're doing to empower others. It's always exciting to see young males like you doing great work in our community. So keep it up. I'm sure that there are listeners and people that follow you, that you're inspiring them, that you're giving them that motivation and push to accept the challenge, because the work that you do, I'm sure is not easy, but I see the love for it. And that's exciting. That's exciting for us to see.
Yeah, well, I appreciate those kind words. Thank you. Yeah, it's a nice reminder that everything we do is very important, and nothing comes easy, but it's definitely worth it for sure.
I see you, bro. I see you, man. I know you. I see some
That's
in you,
funny.
man. I know. Something we also do in this podcast, we want to also highlight the area that we're in. Personally, I really feel that the Northwest Arkansas area has this recipe, kind of, if you will, a success or a certain type of community, from the communities to the amenities to the area, naturally, all these things that we get to just enjoy a certain life here. I'm always curious, here in this podcast, we always ask if you ever have family or friends who come visit this area for the first time, how do you describe this area to them? And if they do come to the area, what's their experience like?
Sometimes we travel to specific areas because it has a specific thing. And what I tell others is that here in Northwest Arkansas, we are rich when it comes to opportunities.
Oh.
Are you interested in the cuisine, food? Okay, what do you like? Depending on your taste, I'll have a place for you for me to take you, right? Are you an outdoors person? I can't say that I am, but I have friends that go mountain biking, that go hiking, that go to the rivers. Or maybe you're like me, where you don't want to, you're not interested in those things, but you want to go check out an athletic event. You have the naturals. You can go catch a baseball game, or you can go to the University of Arkansas.
Yep.
And football. You name it, right? And so for me, when we have families visiting, I always ask them, "What are you interested in doing?" And you'll have that option, right?
I agree.
But like I said, sometimes we travel to specific areas because of this specific thing. And here it's a melting pot, just all the opportunities.
It's very true. Yeah, I agree with that. What do you, so, you talked about nature, and that's maybe not your forte or so, but what do you enjoy the most about this area? Like, you and your family, now that you have a baby, right?
The last couple of years, things have slowed down for me a little bit. Okay, I've been focusing more on family time, just being at home, work, school. So it's been a little bit different. My girlfriend being pregnant for nine months, again, we had to slow down on certain things.
Yeah.
Right. But before that, I would say concerts, Walmart Amp, the Civic Center in Springdale. I love Spanish music. Anytime a big banda grupo would come, that's where I'd go. Food, love food. So trying different restaurants. And so for me, I would say music and food have been a big part of my hobbies. Today, with kids, I would say we're doing things a little bit more differently.
Yeah.
But it's awesome.
That's good. Yeah. So you love food, you love concerts, and spending time in that way. Going back to restaurants a little bit, do you have a favorite spot that you frequent that you can maybe recommend, or maybe you mentioned you like hot chocolate or anything like that specifically? What's your favorite go-to?
Yeah, where's Martina on the weekends? If he could be at a restaurant, where's he going?
So I have two.
Oh,
I have two.
That's a solid answer right there.
Yeah. I actually went to one of them this morning, but El Rinconcito.
I love that place.
Yeah.
That place is so good.
I don't even know where that's at. Where's it at?
No, it's on
You're missing
8th Street.
out.
It's on 8th Street, right? 8th Street.
Yeah.
It's in that plaza where La Michoacana ice cream parlor is.
Where Gabby's Bakery used to be at.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Dude, if you haven't been, Juan Carlos, you have to go.
You're missing out.
All right.
Missing out.
It's so good there.
Okay.
What do you get there?
Yeah, what do you get, man?
So I'll get birria. I'll get birria.
Juan
Yeah.
Carlos.
Oh man,
That's
I
right.
gotta
He's
go.
a fan of being like
Dude, I love birria, man.
You need to take him.
Man.
So my cousin is the owner.
Really?
Yeah, my
Okay.
cousin's the owner.
Wow.
So when you go, tell Jaime that I sent you. It's a family-owned business, very welcoming, and it just, one, the food's delicious, but two, they're also friendly when you walk in. Very popular little place, but that's one. Love my Mexican food. The other one, and this one is one that I can go by myself because not too many people, part of my circle, enjoy it.
Okay.
But I'll go to Ramenara. So I love ramen. I love a good ramen. So
Nice.
in Bentonville. That's the one place that you'll catch me there eating by myself. I'll put on my AirPods and put a show on Netflix, and you'll see me there eating by myself. And so those are my two go-to places for sure.
Shout out, dude.
Going back to Ramen Nora, I haven't been there. So somebody who hasn't been there, tell me what to order. If I go there for the first time, call it tomorrow, I'm gonna go. What should I order?
So I'm horrible with names, okay? But I just go with the number 2 with the miso. What it comes with is just the wavy noodles, a little bit of everything, some corn, hard-boiled egg, the broth very rich, and then your protein, right? And so for me, in any place that I go to, I always have to Yelp it, And so my advice to you is just go check it out. But check out the comments on Yelp and go off of your interests, your likes. But I'm the type of guy that just sticks to the same dish every single time.
There you go.
Never brave enough to switch it out to something different.
That's honestly fair though. I mean, I kind of do that sometimes depending on where I go. Like for example, if I'm gonna go get coffee somewhere, I'll just go to Boulder Coffee. They're on Pinnacle. I don't go anywhere else.
Okay.
So I can relate with that, and sometimes with food too. Like if I go. Let's say I'm gonna go. I bring up Taco Bell so often, dude. But every time I go to Taco Bell, I get the same thing. They have like this $5 box. I'm like, man, let me get a $5 box of Taco Bell.
It's hilarious, man. I'm the opposite, man. I think variety is the spice of life, man.
Yeah.
I know my go-to spots, but I'll say this: there are some days where I want that specific item or dish or meal or whatever. But then I'll be like, you know what? Today I'm gonna venture out and try a new coffee spot. But then I don't know. That's how I found most of these new spots that we go to or talk about, because you just you kind of just wander up in there and it's 50-50, right? It could be a really good meal or it could not be a good meal. But
I just get kind of scared because like I'm like I'm gonna spend maybe like $30-$40, which I mean that's not like I'm gonna like die over $30-$40, right? But I'm like, do I want to spend that much on something I'm not gonna like? You know what I mean? That's where my mind goes. So every time I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm just gonna go to my trusted location.
I'm the opposite. I'm like, $30, maybe find a new meal that I really enjoyed. I know, right?
I've just had too many bad experiences where it never works out for me. So I've just stuck to what I like.
I see.
But that's just me, though.
No, Review, Google review, bro.
Instagram.
Instagram too.
I spend a lot of Instagram for just recommendations.
There's this guy on Instagram. His name is the Hangry Peddler. I don't know if you follow him on Instagram.
I do not.
So he's here local in Northwest Arkansas, and he's big on biking. But his whole thing is he goes around and reviewing different restaurants, and he posts the restaurant a picture of their food, and he describes experience like customer service, what he got, how it tasted, good and bad. And so anytime I do want to try something new, the many times that I have at least, or excuse me, the few times I have, I'll go to that guy's Instagram.
Gotcha.
And it'll help me at least. So if you haven't checked out his Instagram, I would check it out. The Hangry Peddler NWA, I think.
Write it down.
We'll write it down and we'll have to tag it too.
Yeah.
As we kind of wrapping up the episode a little bit, a tradition we've had since we started this podcast is there's a question at the end of every episode that is asked by the previous guest, which, you don't know who it is, but this is their question. And then as well, at the end, you leave a question for the next guest. So, and this question can be anything, but what the previous guest asked for you was, what life experiences have impacted you the most? And we'll give you some time to think about that.
Yeah, this is a great question. I believe that us human beings struggle with just showing that vulnerability, showing if you want to call it weakness, owning when we make mistakes, when we have those opportunities for growth. So for me, what's impacted me the most has probably been those dark times in life when I've questioned the work that I'm doing as a professional, where I have had guilt as a person, right? So I believe that those experiences have impacted me the most because, and maybe at times I have chosen to just isolate myself from others. Some way, somehow, finding that courage to get back up, finding the courage to say, I made a mistake and I want to be better. Finding the courage to say, hey, I need some support. But I do believe that many times we struggle to be vulnerable. Earlier I mentioned my close circle. I feel very confident that if I had a problem, I can call one of those individuals and they would be there for me, whether it's to celebrate or whether it's be a shoulder to cry on. So while my life has been filled with so many exciting and rich experiences, I do believe that the experiences that have been a little bit more negative or ugly have impacted me the most, because that's really when we're tested on who we really are. You know, we are made up of experiences every single day.
Yep.
And my focus, my goal is just to learn and be better, day in, day out.
I like that answer, and
Yes.
and I can resonate that with your answer a lot. You know, everyone in life has gone through hardships, and hearing your answer, I think it's so true because about a year and a half ago, and I mentioned this in another episode, but I was going through some trouble, you know, and it really put it into perspective what kind of person I was at the moment, what I wanted to do different to where I am today, and having those people around me, you know, shout out my fiance Emily and her parents. They helped me out a ton, and they were there for me when it was really hard, and they helped me grow and be this powerful individual that I feel that I'm reaching today. And so I think a lot of people are really gonna feel very impactful with your answer because it resonates with me a lot right now.
100%.
Well, without knowing Emily, I'm glad that she was in your corner and that her parents were there too. Sometimes we see smiles and sometimes we see joy, but we really don't realize what someone is struggling with. And so I'm glad that she's in your corner, and I'm excited for you guys.
Yes,
Los
thank you.
suegros.
Yeah, the suegros.
The suegros came
shout out my
through, bro.
suegros, man. They put me on so many things,
Oh, man.
specifically
Yeah.
Mexican food. But yeah, they're good people, man.
We all gotta eat, man.
I like your answer. I think it's gonna
That's
be
amazing.
impactful for sure.
So now, Martin, you leave you have to leave a question for the next guest. Again, don't know who it is, and it can be any question.
So a week ago, I was with Heritage High School's head coaches.
Okay.
And shout out to Matt Murray. He made the question about how do you want to be remembered by your student athletes? Okay, so my question to the next guest would be, how do you want to be remembered by your community, right? And I've been thinking about that question more and more because sometimes we just go with the motion and we wake up, we go to work, we do what we need to do, come back home, have dinner, and go to bed, right? But I am hoping that every single community member is making an impact in Northwest Arkansas so that we can be a place where others want to join us, but also a place where we can raise a family.
Very true. Wow.
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
I want to know the answer to that one. We're gonna know. We're gonna know here shortly.
Yeah, we will. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up this episode today, we really want to thank everyone who's tuned in. Of course, we want to thank Mr. Martin for his time, Enrique, of course, with your time. Man, that was a fantastic episode.
Yeah, it's just funny to me. Not funny in a bad way, right? But just how life always brings people back together. Never that I think I'd be sitting in a room again with one of my old facilitators, right? But here we are now, and thank you again for your time. I'm very honored and privileged that you were able to join us today. So thank you.
No, I appreciate the invitation, and thank you for the work that you guys are doing. And like I said, we don't know who's listening, but I'm confident that you guys are empowering and pouring into someone's cup. And so thank you for the work that you're doing.
Oh, wow, man. Thank you for that encouragement. It's been, man, this has really been fun. I haven't shared this with you or you may not know, but this just started as a passion project, really just to connect with people, to be honest, and to have that connection, for down the line for people that move to the area or even just us as individuals as well. But this has been a really fun ride. I was telling Enrique on the last episode, man, I could have a line full of people waiting outside, for the next episode, and I'd do it for free and I'd do it all day because that to me is just it's fun. But
That's awesome.
yeah, folks. So thank you again for tuning in. Like we just want to give a quick shout out to the team here for joining us, and as well, folks, check out our Instagram, follow, share it. Once you listen to the episode, share with your friend. That would just help us greatly just to get these stories out, right? So, but besides that, guys, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the next episode.